opportunity. That perception, however, is rapidly collapsing. What lies beneath Philippine waters is now reshaping global strategy, drawing in the world's two most powerful nations, the United States and China, into a quiet but intensifying contest. This is not a story about fishing disputes or maritime lines drawn on maps. This is about control of the seabed and with it, control over energy, data, military positioning, and the future balance of power in Asia. At the center of this unfolding reality are 7 critical deep-sea territories surrounding the Philippines, each with its own strategic weight, each quietly contested.
Roughly 250 kilometers off the eastern coast of Luzon lies a massive underwater plateau known as the Philippine Rise. Recognized by the United Nations in 2012 as part of the Philippines' extended continental shelf, the area covers millions of hectares, larger than Luzon itself. Unlike disputed territories in the South China Sea, this claim was not political, it was scientific, based on geological evidence.
Yet, even this internationally validated territory has not been free from tension. Following the ruling, Chinese research vessels were reported entering the area without authorization. At the same time, the United States deepened scientific and strategic cooperation with Manila. The Philippine Rise remains largely unexplored, but early findings point to manganese deposits, methane potential, and rich biodiversity. In geopolitical terms, the stakes are simple. Whoever maps and understands this territory first shapes the future argument over who develops it. The Sulu Sea is not just a body of water. It is a strategic corridor linking the South China Sea to the Pacific. Beneath its surface lies a deep water passage that submarines rely on. Both American and Chinese submarines are believed to navigate these routes, making the Philippines a geographic choke point in underwater military movement. At the same time, the Philippine government has identified the Sulu Sea as a priority energy exploration zone, with contracts awarded in recent years for potential gas reserves. From Washington's perspective, losing control of this corridor risks weakening its Pacific alliance. From Beijing's perspective, allowing the Philippines to develop these waters under U.S. protection could restrict Chinese naval mobility. The Sulu Sea is therefore not just a resource zone, it is a strategic intersection of competing military pathways. To the south lies the Salib Sea, deep, largely overlooked, and potentially transformative. At depths exceeding 6,000 meters, the seabed hosts polymetallic nodules rich in manganese, nickel, copper, and cobalt. Cobalt, in particular, is critical from modern technology, from electric vehicles to advanced military systems. Globally, supply is heavily concentrated, with the Democratic Republic of Congo dominating extraction and China controlling much of the processing infrastructure. The Salib Sea could disrupt that balance. However, the region remains largely unexplored, and delays in surveying may not be accidental. Strategic hesitation can serve as a tool. Controlling the timeline can mean controlling future supply chains. For years, the Malampaya gas field off Palawan has powered a significant portion of Luzon's electricity, over 20% at times. But as reserves declined, fears of an energy crisis grew. Then, in January 2026, Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. announced a new discovery. This helps Malampaya's contribution and strengthens our domestic gas supply for many years to come, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said. The new reservoir, Malampaya East 1, is estimated to contain around 98 billion cubic feet of natural gas with strong production potential. The significance goes beyond the numbers. This discovery was driven by a Philippine-led consortium, marking a shift from reliance on foreign energy giants to domestic capability. At a time when the country is facing energy pressures linked to global disruptions, the find offers both relief and strategic autonomy. Public attention often focuses on islands and artificial structures in the South China Sea, but the real strategic value lies beneath the surface. The deep waters surrounding the Spratly Islands are believed to contain significant oil and gas reserves estimated at billions of barrels and trillions of cubic feet. More importantly, the underwater terrain creates what military analysts call acoustic shadow zones. These are areas where sonar detection becomes extremely difficult. For submarines, especially nuclear ones, such zones offer near invisibility. Control over these waters is not just about resources, it is about the ability to hide or detect strategic weapons. China's construction of artificial islands has extended its presence into these zones, while the Philippines relies on international rulings, including the 2016 arbitration decision, to assert its maritime rights. The contest here is less visible, but potentially more consequential than anything happening on the surface. Located about 222 kilometers from Luzon, Scarborough Shoal sits at the edge of the Luzon Strait, one of the most critical maritime passages in the region. Control of this area effectively means control over access between the South China Sea and the Pacific Ocean. China has maintained a presence there since 2012, despite the Philippines' claims. Recent incidents involving vessels in the area highlight how tightly it is being controlled. For China, holding Scarborough strengthens early warning capabilities for submarine movement. For the United States, maintaining access through this corridor is essential for its Pacific deterrence strategy. The strategic logic is clear. Whoever controls this gateway influences the movement of naval power across the region. Perhaps the most critical and least visible battleground lies on the ocean floor. Submarine fiber optic cables carry more than 99% of global internet traffic, forming the backbone of modern communication and finance. These cables connect continents, transmit financial transactions, enable military coordination, and support global digital infrastructure. The Philippines, due to its location, sits at a key junction in this network. Multiple major cable systems pass through or land in Philippine territory, linking Asia with the United States and beyond. The strategic risk is enormous. Disrupting these cables could cripple economies, disrupt military communications, and isolate entire regions. Recent concerns have emerged over vessels capable of cutting cables at extreme depths, raising fears of covert disruption. Unlike traditional warfare, such actions can be carried out without clear attribution. This makes the cable network not just infrastructure, but a potential first target in any future conflict. Taken together, these 7 territories reveal a broader reality. The Philippines is no longer peripheral. It sits at the intersection of energy resources, military corridors, mineral supply chains, and digital infrastructure. The United States has recognized this shift, increasing defense cooperation and investment. China has recognized it as well, expanding its presence and influence across contested waters. The strategic competition is no longer theoretical. It is active, ongoing, and deeply rooted in geography. Recent policy moves underscore the stakes. The Philippines has strengthened defense partnerships, expanded military modernization, and asserted sovereignty through legal and diplomatic channels. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has also advanced defense modernization plans aimed at protecting the country's maritime domain, including its exclusive economic zone and key areas like the Sulu Sea and Philippine Rise. The United States, meanwhile, has reinforced its alliance commitments in the region. This is not simply aid, it is strategic positioning. The logic is straightforward. A Philippines capable of controlling its maritime territory becomes a stabilizing force in Asia. A Philippines that cannot be coerced becomes a critical anchor for regional alliances. The global narrative often frames the South China Sea as a dispute between major powers, but the deeper story is about geography, sovereignty, and control over the systems that power the modern world. Energy flows, data flows, and military movement all converge beneath Philippine waters. The seabed is no longer just a physical space. It is a strategic domain, and the contest for that domain is already underway. The Philippines is no longer on the sidelines of global geopolitics. It is at the center of a transformation that will define the next era. The resources are there. The infrastructure is already in place. The alliances are forming. The question is no longer whether the world recognizes the importance of Philippine waters. The question is whether the Philippines fully acts on what it already holds before others shape the outcome.